It was 3 years ago that Sony released the ZV-E10, and it was the first in the ZV lineup. Gen Z Vlogger is what it stood for, and this is a vlogger-focused video camera. Over the past 3 years, it's probably become the most popular APS-C camera, at least in Sony's lineup of all time, probably even surpassing the a6000. Anyway, in this video, we are checking out the successor to this thing, and it comes to us in the form of this ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, Sony could have called this the ZV-E11, but I guess that would have been way too easy. This camera is interesting because it's not really a replacement, since they're going to continue to sell the ZV-E10. This is kind of just another APS-C camera to add to the other 9 that are currently on sale and probably all still in production. And also today being announced and released is this new kit lens, which is a lot like the old kit lens, still a 16-50, still a variable aperture, still a power zoom, but with some very key upgrades. So we'll talk about that in this video. So let's jump in. The loaner unit that I received was white, which is one of 2 colors being offered. I personally don't think I would buy the white one, but it does have a certain appeal for a younger audience, I suppose. My 5-year-old has never been so excited to use one of my cameras, so he had a field day running around and vlogging with it. Anyway, let's start by discussing the body. It's kind of like a combination of the old ZV-E10 and the ZV-E1, the full frame camera. The E10 II is thicker, taller, with a bigger grip. Despite this, it manages to be a few grams lighter than the original. The shutter button is bigger, zoom rocker is still there, but the on-off switch has been moved here as well. The record button and background defocus button are the same, but the old button that cycled through photo, video, and SNQ has been replaced with a switch, which is so much easier and better in my opinion. The microphone still lives up top, and it is a 3-capsule mic just like the old one, but now with intelligence, so it can pick up voices from various directions automatically or manually. There's also an added tally light here, which is a nice indicator that you are recording. Around the back, there are no apparent changes to the button layout, although the touchscreen has been updated from 921,600 dots to 1.037 million dots. However, there is no improvement in brightness that I can see. Around the bottom, a big update is the battery, which is now a Z-type, and as a result, the grip is also extended, which makes holding this camera more comfortable. It's still a far cry from the grip on the a6700, however. I will say that the texture and the materials, though, feel good. The original ZV-E10 feels more slippery in the hands. This 10 II doesn't feel quite as much. Around the side, there are 3 flaps here, and what do we get? A full-sized HDMI? No, you wish, but you do get USB-C, a mic and headphone port, and a single SD card slot. There are bigger changes inside, as this new camera features the same sensor as the FX30 and the a6700, the 26 megapixel Exmor-R back illuminated sensor with the Bionz XR image processor, which Sony claims is 8 times the performance of the old processor. But unlike the a6700, you don't get the AI processing unit, which is a bit of an odd omission. I don't quite understand the reasoning behind that decision, other than they needed to create more distance between the performance of this camera and the 6700. Speaking of performance, the E10 II now has 4K 60, 10-bit 422, and full HD up to 120p. Again, for another seemingly weird reason, no 4K 120 with a crop on this camera. However, you do get all of the newest S-Cinetone, S-Log3, 5.6K oversampling for 4K, and focus breathing compensation support. Sony is trying to get into that Fujifilm look game by emphasizing their 10 creative look styles, and these can now be adjusted with 8 parameters, so you have a bunch of possibilities. And then you have the looks and moods in cinematic vlog mode, so if you wanted to quickly record something with a different color feel that looks, quote, cinematic by adding black bars on top and bottom to make it 2.35 to 1, you can do that with this camera. Autofocus has also been improved. 425 autofocus points have been replaced with 759 phase detection autofocus points, and face and eye autofocus works for humans, animals, and birds, but those are your only 3 options. You can't have it track planes or trains or insects because it doesn't have that AI chip. This new camera doesn't get IBIS, which again, I think at this point it probably should have, but Sony says the active mode stabilization is improved. Well, I tested this because I was immediately skeptical, but the results, just like Shakira's hips, don't lie. The new E10 II shows quite a bit less shakiness and movement when walking around normally and recording, and I'm sure this new lens with OSS helped, as the Sigma that I threw on my ZV-E10 doesn't have any stabilization. Another quite obvious improvement is in rolling shutter, as the E10 II has significantly less thanks to that sensor and that processor combo. And while we are doing comparisons, might as well do a quick microphone comparison. Here is the audio coming out of the original ZV-E10. Here is the new one. So this is coming out of the ZV-E10 II. The E10 II does sound a little less dynamic and flat with the wind noise reduction set to auto, but if you turn it off, the microphones are nearly indistinguishable. The last improvement that I will discuss is the menu system, as with the E10 II, you get the same menu that is found in the FX30 and the A6700, and it's simply easier to navigate, easier to see settings, and in most cases you can adjust everything that you need by swiping up or in from the sides. The icons and display switches to vertical when you are shooting vertical content. It's a small thing, but if you do a lot of reels and shorts, this is something that is a nice touch. Alright, this is a vlogging camera, so I figured the best way to demonstrate its abilities is to shoot a vlog, so that's what we did. Alright, Sony gave me a whopping about a week with this brand new camera, and I decided let's go on a little day trip. And the whole family's in the car, and we're staying. Ow! Durability is a 10 out of 10. So far, it has not broken.
And we have coffee. The best.
No one cares about the San Antonio Space Needle. Did you have fun at Legoland?
Yeah. Bella, did you have fun?
We are staying at the Marriott. This is hashtag sponsored.
I wish.
No, I'm just kidding, but we are trying to get sponsored. Maybe they'll send us to Dubai, Japan, Spain, Marriott if you're watching.
We'll take anywhere.
It's 9:45 and we're just in bed. So, good night.
We woke up nice and early because of the kids, and they shared a bed for the first time. It was fine. Now we're going to breakfast, hopefully at a good spot.
We're going to breakfast.
We didn't go to Denny's. You know what the experts are saying?
What?
After this remodel, there may not be too much Alamo left to remember. That's enough, and the last couple of shots in that compilation vlog were done at 6400 ISO because Janessa might have messed with some of the settings and not paid attention to it, so everything looks kind of grainy and blown out. That's the reason why. But anyway, this camera as a vlog camera, what it's designed to do, I think it does really quite well. Now, before I get ahead of myself and talk about more of the camera and my thoughts about it, let's talk about this brand new kit lens. So it looks exactly like the old one. It's a 16 to 50 millimeter f3.5 to 5.6 power zoom. It folds into a pancake, and Sony seems to be really proud that it is 8% lighter than the old one. The three big points about this lens are: number one, it now supports up to 120 frames per second burst and 4K 120. Number two, it can autofocus while zooming. Number three, image stabilization is improved. Sony calls it, quote, enhanced body lens coordination control, which explains why my ZV-E10 and the Sigma lens looks so much shakier. And these are all nice improvements, but what makes me angrier than the Hulk is why hasn't Sony been incorporating these things into all of its other lenses up until this point? Why don't they incorporate this enhanced body lens coordination image stabilization technology into other lenses that they've put out, like the 11mm, the new 15mm, the 10 to 20 power zoom? Why is it that with this new lens that costs $100 when you buy it in a kit, why is this the lens that they decided to put that technology into? And now we have basically the best stabilization optical performance that we've ever seen in a lens that is quite boring. It's a variable aperture. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think this is the stuff that they should have incorporated into the Sony 16 to 55G instead of this super cheap $100 kit lens, but what do I know? And look, I'm not saying that this combo is as good as running around with a gimbal, and I'm not saying it's better than the 8 stops of stabilization that Sony has on its A7R5, but it's certainly better than what I can get with my other APS-C cameras, and it's not even that good compared to what you can get, let's say, with Lumix stabilization, but it's pretty good for casual use. I think that most vloggers will be happy. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any more information about this lens as far as whether the internal structure has changed, whether the internal elements have been updated, and I don't have another power zoom laying around for me to do a direct head-to-head comparison, and really I don't have enough time to do that because I only have this camera for a couple of days, so maybe in the future when I have more time with the lens I can test out more of that. But that's all I'm going to say about the lens. Let's go back to talking about this camera. For a video focused camera, it's everything that you'll need. Even the ZV-E10 is still a plenty capable camera in 2024, but the E10 II with the improved autofocus, 10-bit colors, better sensor, better processor, 4K 60 video, double-sized battery, better construction and button layout, better menu system, and better stabilization is a better camera. It's not a hybrid camera though. It doesn't have a mechanical shutter like the A6700. It doesn't have a viewfinder like the A6700. It doesn't have the AI processor, and it doesn't have the better autofocus of the 6700. And you do notice these things. It doesn't track subjects quite as well when obstacles get in the way like the A6700 does. So as a camera for photo and video, the A6700 still comes out on top. But if you don't take photos, and if you're just looking for a camera to shoot your family's videos, to shoot vacations, to shoot content for YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is, this is a very good camera. I look at it as kind of like a watered down FX30 without the active cooling, without the IBIS, without the dual card slots, without Cine EI and some of the other more advanced features. But sometimes you don't need all of that stuff. And now we get to the price. The original ZV-E10 came out with a price of $699 US. It was incredibly affordable, and the specs for the money made sense. This new E10 II is $999 US, which is $300 more. Now you can blame that on the US printing more than 80% of all US dollars in existence in the last 3 years, or you can blame Sony just trying to get ya. But whatever the reason is, I think that the upgrades between these two cameras are significant enough to warrant paying that $300 premium. Now that's not to say that everyone out there who owns the original ZV-E10 needs to go out and sell it and pick up this new ZV-E10 II or Z11 like they should have called it. Because if you're happy with the stabilization of the ZV-E10, if you're happy with 4K 24 or 4K 30, and you're happy with the colors at 8-bit, then there's not really a huge reason to upgrade, although I will say that the battery life improvement alone is a pretty significant difference. However, I will say if you are looking to pick up one of these brand new cameras, I would recommend that you pay the extra $100 for this new power zoom kit lens. And it pains me to say that because you guys know that I haven't been the biggest fan of that power zoom lens, but right now for $100, I cannot think of a better kit lens or better cheap lens that offers you that stabilization, that still keeps up with super fast autofocus and high frame rates, that's super compact. Yeah, it's variable aperture. It's not super sharp. It doesn't have great contrast or great colors, but again, for $100, you really can't beat that lens, unfortunately. And so there you guys have it. That is my review of the brand new ZV-E10 Mark II. I think I'm gonna sell my ZV-E10 and get this thing just because of the battery life alone and the stabilization. I only use my ZV-E10 for family trips to record videos, but it's a perfect vlogging camera. The reason is that microphone. That's what makes it better than basically all the other APS-C cameras that I have, is that 3-capsule microphone on top. But let me know what you guys think down below. If you are interested in pre-ordering this, this will be released later on this month. Then check out the links down in the description. Those are affiliate links. I'm trying to copy Mark Bennett and save up for my own fleet of private jets with affiliate revenue. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more and have a nice day. Bye-bye.